This whole thing kind of started one evening on a basketball court. Even though weather was pretty bad, the guys still kept throwing ball in the hoop. Out of nowhere, someone on the court dropped their inhaler, something they brought just in case they had asthma problems. Kid who got pushed hit the ground and reached out for his medicine while others kept picking on him for being short. One jerk asked his buddy if it would be fine to just leave the kid here. The blonde dude said he'd be okay and they should go already. Guy they were bullying stayed on the court alone. Rain suddenly got super heavy, and he heard steps of some man. A tall, kinda mysterious man in a suit showed up in front of him. He just looked at the kid while lightning flashed in the sky. Bending down a bit, the man told him that how other people see him doesn't really matter. The main thing is to never give up. He put a small bottle with some weird glowing liquid on the ground, saying he's not even sure if it works, and he's been looking for this formula for like 15 years. Stranger let the kid drink it, saying ancient people used it 3,000 years ago to honor gods, and he hopes it helps him too. Man said that, according to legend, this formula has a magic effect and can wake up some hidden healing potential in his body. But from what he said, it kinda depends on what person wants inside, like if that hidden energy comes out or not. Kid who was sick of being bullied decided he really wants this. The liquid started working, and his veins began glowing with this blue light. Every second the formula felt stronger. The guy turned red and started kinda groaning from pain while laying on the wet ground. The dude in glasses clenched his teeth hard. Pain was crazy, but he was set on taking it so he could get some strength and stop dealing with all that bullying. After that, he screamed super loud, his eyes turned into two bright spots of light, and the formula started hitting him full force. He kept screaming like mad, grabbed the asphalt with his hands, nails scraping it, and bright energy started pouring out of his mouth. 2 months later, the whole city came together to check out opening of biggest basketball center in Asia. Manhwa basketball town covered like 65 hectares with indoor and outdoor courts, and it could hold around 15,000 people while running about 50 games at same time. Yayu also came to the opening. His friend came too. He was streaming live and talking with viewers. Blonde guy showed his subs the main arena of the complex, saying there would be a show match there later. Shinran asked viewers to drop likes and comments, and he'd keep the stream going and comment the basketball game for them. The guy asked Yayu to help with the stream, since doing it with one hand was kinda hard and the video kept turning out blurry. But Yayu didn't pay him any attention. And when the blonde asked what he was doing, the guy said he can't be on camera in this state. Shinran told him to just hold the phone and not jump in frame and said not to underestimate today's stream since way more people showed up. Yayu made his friend mad by saying his viewer count didn't even hit double digits, and he always has like 2.5 people watching, half of them being his own friends or family. Blonde dude yelled at his best friend for having the nerve to hurt him like that, and Yayu told him to stop acting weird since his arm was broken. The guy admitted he was wrong and asked his friend not to be mad, promising to buy him food after the match, and the other said he wants Kaoshan hot pot and some fish. They headed toward the stadium since the game was about to start. Shinran asked his friend to stop hugging him, but the dude wouldn't listen. Crowd was already filling the stands. The host greeted everyone and said they'd see an insane show match live today. Shinran got pumped seeing a bunch of excited people in the stands, and his friend agreed the place was packed. Host said that 2 basketball teams out there were some of the best in the country. Players were already on the court. When one of the players already scored a clean shot, host said they were all deaf basketball stars. Shinran kept streaming, showing the match to viewers, and he and his friend watched everything with a lot of excitement. Host talked about a vote that happens every 5 years, and because of it, 108 top-class basketball players were picked. While hyping up the players, he said they were like the peak of basketball Olympus, kinda like mountains normal athletes can't really reach. He introduced basketball star number 38, known as Luo Fei, called the Flying Hero, who was doing his signature move for everyone. Another player complained that Luo Fei was showing off again, and his teammate said to let him have fun since this was just a show match anyway. Commentator pointed viewers' attention to Luo Fei, who was already in the game and rushing toward the hoop at crazy speed. When Luo Fei jumped up, commentator said this guy had insane hang time and jumping skill. Host also said that his unique dunks were kinda fantastic, and right that moment Luo Fei was doing his signature move with the ball. Basketball player known as King of Rebounds, dude who never uses any jump pad, was already ready to throw the ball in. Ball was just a few centimeters from the hoop. Luo Fei only had to kinda let it go for it to drop in and give his team points. Luo Fei was one step away from scoring for his team when suddenly someone unknown snatched the ball, grabbing it with one hand. Turned out it was a guy not even wearing basketball gear. Some stranger who smacked the ball out of Luo Fei's move and didn't let him score. Shinran and his friend just stared with mouths open, totally shocked by how crazy and unexpected stuff went down on the court. Meanwhile, the stranger pushed the player away and fully stopped him from getting the ball back or trying another shot. For basically everyone in the crowd, this was a total surprise. People just froze and kept watching the intruder without even blinking. Commentator said something wild just happened. Luo Fei's dunk got blocked by a stranger, and he wasn't sure if this was part of some planned story or not. Shocked, Shinran asked his viewers if they saw how that guy suddenly showed up on the court and blocked Luo Fei in one move. Stranger who interrupted the match grabbed the ball and gave Luo Fei this mocking look, like saying he's not any kind of king of rebounds. Snorting a bit, the guy wiped his nose, gave the player this kind of challenging look, and asked if that was really all he could do. Players got pissed and rushed at him, asking who he even was and if organizers sent him here breaking the whole contract. The stranger closed his eyes, smirked, said none of this was planned, and introduced himself as Jason Lee. Spinning the ball on his finger, he said he just wants to teach a lesson to idiots, a bunch of clueless fools calling themselves basketball stars. Staring at the players from under his brow while still spinning the ball, Jason Lee said he had something else to tell them. He yelled that Asians weren't worthy of playing basketball, and he challenged 10 of the stars to show them what real basketball looks like. Crowd started yelling. Some people wanted the stars to take Jason Lee's challenge, others were shouting to drag him out. It wasn't just the stadium watching the game, even small local spots had it on, and the commentator said that cocky guy made everyone furious. Basically, everyone was watching the stream with shocked faces, listening to how Jason Lee challenged all those basketball stars at once. Shinran got mad, saying that black dude was super arrogant and probably just trying to get some popularity. But his friend didn't agree. He said it wasn't that simple since Jason Lee was super fast and somehow got on the court without anyone noticing. Security guys stepped onto the court to stop Jason Lee, asking him to leave right now and not cause them any trouble. Jason Lee tried calming the angry guards down and told them to listen, pointing his finger up toward the stadium ceiling. Crowd got confused when they heard some weird sounds. People looked up and thought maybe a helicopter was coming. Instead of a helicopter, they saw 4 drones near the ceiling, each holding a big box wrapped with black straps. The guys noticed those 4 drones carrying something huge like a box, and the machines were already moving down toward the court. Turned out it was a big clear container with gold bars inside, stacked in 4 rows. Drones landed the box safely, players surrounded it, and stared at this unexpected cargo like they had no idea what to think. Viewers, Luo Fei and his streamer friend were all shocked when they saw what exactly the drones dropped onto the court. Everyone just watched how drones delivered a massive case full of gold bars that cost a whole fortune. Jason Lee said that was his bet, and there were like 100 million worth of gold inside, and if he loses, all that goes straight to the basketball players. He yelled, asking the stars if they were too scared to take his challenge or what. Basketball stars lined up in front of the cocky guy and just stared at him, thinking if they should accept this whole thing. After talking it over, the stars agreed to take the challenge. Everyone gathered on the outdoor court, and by the rules, they wouldn't be able to play for 5 years if they lost. Commentators said a basketball career is short anyway, and not being able to play for 5 years is like a punch in gut for any athlete. Host announced the match would be streetball style, one-on-one, and around 10,000 people were already sitting in the stands. Shinran also found a good spot in the stands and kept filming the match, asking people who just joined the stream to drop a like. Blonde guy was sure Jason Lee was just pretending to be stronger than he is, but his friend clearly didn't agree that Jason was weak. Yayu, who watched everything super closely, told his friend that this guy actually looked really confident. Jason Lee dribbled the ball, but then one of the stars stepped in front of him trying to steal it, and Luo Fei glared at him saying it's over for him. Luo Fei told him he'd never seen anyone more cocky than himself until today, but said that kind of attitude always comes with a price. Basketball star said the guy just got lucky blocking him last time, but now it was time for a real fight and he'd see what Jason Lee can actually do. His little speech didn't scare Jason Lee at all. He just gave him this defiant look and said he'd show what he's really capable of. Jason Lee said to start the game and dashed forward so fast he left trails behind him, his eyes lighting up bright. Luo Fei tried stopping him but failed. The black dude shoved him aside with his hand while pushing through with the ball. Star player got visibly scared when he saw his opponent sprinting toward the hoop. He turned around to keep track of his moves. The guy tried catching up to Jason Lee, reaching his hand out. He almost caught him and was trying to grab the ball but didn't manage yet. Jason Lee already reached the hoop and jumped up to score while his opponent kept trying to stop him with no success. Even with all the stars' efforts, Jason still managed to throw the ball in. It went straight through the net and stopping it was already too late. Yayu, his friend streaming the game, and all the other players just stared with shocked faces watching what happened. Pretty much everyone kept their eyes glued to their phones, watching the game in replay since they couldn't get into the stadium. The match was even streaming on big city screens, and a whole crowd of people gathered around them. Meanwhile, Jason Lee scored a point for himself, landing a clean shot and grabbing the rim with one hand while hanging in the air. After that, he stopped, turned around to look at his opponent, and asked if he still thought it was just luck. Star player Luo Fei, also called the Flying Hero, couldn't hold back his anger. He stayed silent, teeth clenched, staring at his opponent with fury. Other players were also clearly scared, watching the insane skills of the guy who challenged them all. Commentator, whose voice echoed across the whole city, said Jason Lee defended himself again and scored one more point. Host said through speakers even on a nearby trailer that this whole game was basically Jason Lee's domination. He announced that this guy had already beaten two basketball stars. And meanwhile, some sketchy trailer sitting in the middle of the city started activating, analyzing data with its satellite dish. Device showed that test subject number 008 was stable, and after 2 matches, his speed and stamina didn't drop at all. Scientists watching Jason Lee reported that the synthetic biotissue had around 35% compatibility with him, and his state was still stable. He got told to raise kinetic power to 60%. He didn't like that idea, but they ordered him to just do it since that was kind of the whole point of experiment. Guy in glasses said it wasn't easy getting 10 basketball stars for testing, and they had to beat them no matter what. He ordered to raise kinetic power right away. Scientists at the console did it and pushed it up to 60%. Through a hidden earpiece, Jason Lee heard his kinetic power was about to get boosted to 60%. He told the scientist sitting in the control room he was fine with it and ready to take that extra load. Jason Lee instantly felt electric current running through his whole body. He breathed heavy, trying to push through all that pain. Player clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. His veins swelled and turned kind of purple, and his body started glowing with this bright turquoise aura. Kinetic energy kept rising all over his body. Even veins on his legs bulged out and started shining with strong light. Yayu noticed how the guy's body started changing, like all his muscles were swelling up and his whole frame grew in just a second. People watching had no idea why Jason Lee suddenly stopped moving. Some even thought he was having a heart attack since he was shaking so much. Jason Lee was still trying to fight through the pain ripping through him from that boost in kinetic power. He kept groaning. One scientist said that the subject's body readings were jumping like crazy, and a strong rejection reaction could hit, maybe even kill him. His co-worker said they should shut the experiment down and evacuate the subject so no one could get to that artificial implant inside him. But Jason Lee was totally against it. He yelled back at the scientist saying he was fine, and he would handle this load. While the guy screamed that he could take it, his opponent asked who he was even talking to and if he was trying to evolve into some second form like a Pokemon. Jason Lee didn't answer the basketball star. He just opened his mouth and thick smoke started pouring out. Scientist sitting at the desk told the others that test subject 008 had stabilized. Luo Fei shouted angrily, asking if his opponent was wanted play or already giving up, and Jason Lee reminded him that it was his turn to attack. With lightning shooting off his body, the furious player turned around and told his opponent to start the game already. Star player froze up when the ball vanished from his hands. A moment later, he yelled out, not even knowing where it went. Turned out Jason Lee, now even faster than before, ripped the ball right out of his hands and dashed forward. The guy moved his feet crazy fast, using his super abilities to reach the hoop. Jason Lee jumped up, grabbed the rim with one hand, then tossed the ball in and scored for himself. His opponent didn't even have time to react before realizing he'd already lost, while Jason Lee dropped back down on the court. Shocked, Luo Fei just stared with his mouth wide open, realizing how fast his opponent pulled off that shot. His teammates were stunned too. They watched the match in fear, not even understanding how any of this was possible. Crowd was still watching the whole fight on the big screens, and the commentator said it was unbelievable. Commentator added that after a short break, Jason Lee came back, and the speed of that dunk could only be called amazing. Shinran was in shock because it all happened way too fast, and he said he didn't even catch how the player did that. The guy asked if a normal person could even do something like that, and when he turned to look at his friend, he got super surprised. He started looking around kind of panicked, not understanding where his best friend Yayu went, guessing maybe he ran to the bathroom. Next star in line admitted the opponent was really strong and said they'd need some tactics and strategy to beat him. But Jason Lee kept beating players one by one. He used another crazy dunk and sent the ball straight into the hoop. Device analyzed that with kinetic power going up, Sync rate only reached about 43%, while the subject's body readings stayed normal. It was concerning that kinetic output was just 48%, probably because sync speed was still low. Long-haired scientists said results were still good, experiment worked out fine, and they should send all data to headquarters. Jason Lee was told to stop and wait for rescue team, but he refused, saying nothing was over yet. After beating another player, the guy looked down at him and asked if they were wanted give up now or what. Beaten basketball star sat on the floor confused, asking his opponent how abilities like that were even possible. Jason Lee told the guy the bet was still on and asked if there were any others who wanted to challenge him. All the players were already exhausted after playing him. They looked at him with fear and hate when he asked who wanted to question his words. Commentator called this game really exciting since it ended with a full defeat of the team of 10 basketball stars. Everyone watched with hearts pounding, while the host said that whole challenge felt like some brutal storm, and athletes moved like strong waves. People who didn't get seats in the stands kept watching from behind the fence, totally amazed by the match. Commentators said that this mysterious guy defeated all 10 basketball stars alone. His speed, strength, and hang time were just unbelievable. Grinning, Jason Lee decided to remind the beaten players about the original terms of the bet they made. Players were horrified when he reminded them that for the next 5 years they won't be able to play basketball or join any sport events related to it. One of the athletes got mad and yelled that it's impossible to keep that kind of energy after 10 matches, and Jason Lee was probably on some kind of doping. Jason Lee got pissed and yelled that all this was nonsense and the guy should just accept his loss instead of blaming everyone else. He shouted that he gets it, many people here don't trust him, so he's ready to give the players one more chance. The genius player said anyone who wants can challenge him, and whoever wins can take all the gold. Crowd tensed up, and the commentator called Jason Lee crazy since he was basically challenging thousands of people. Host said the audience was super fired up, and some viewers had already stepped onto the court to face Jason Lee. He was right. A whole group of pissed-off big guys started walking onto the court to take him on. Shinran really regretted his broken arm at that moment, because he would have wanted to fight that mysterious player too. Angry athletes snorted when Jason Lee told them they could play against him all together instead of one by one. While putting on his wristband, one of them called Jason Lee an arrogant idiot and said he'd teach him a lesson if his parents didn't. Looking at his new opponents from under his brow and smirking, Jason Lee told them to stop talking and just start the game already. Panic started in the control room. One of the scientists yelled, asking why their test subject wasn't following the plan at all. Bald scientist ordered them to tell Jason Lee to stop this stupid stuff, but his colleague said everything was under control. The panicking and angry scientist stared at his coworker in total confusion, not getting why he didn't want to stop Jason Lee. With a kind of creepy look, the long-haired scientist suggested they should check the full limits of their test subject. Meanwhile, Jason Lee was already playing against new opponents. Same as before, the basketball stayed under his control. Guys tried stopping him, but it was useless. The mysterious player scored again and took another win. When new opponents stepped onto the court trying to chase him and steal the ball, the guy still grabbed another point for himself. Whoever tried to steal the ball couldn't do it, and Jason Lee kept leading every single game. Even when a bald dude in a green shirt tried blocking him, Jason Lee still threw the ball straight into the hoop. Jason Lee beat everyone who tried challenging him, and when the ball dropped onto the court, he called his opponents a bunch of bio-trash. The guy laughed and asked if that was really everyone who wanted to play with him, because he was just getting warmed up. Smile disappeared from his face real quick, and Jason Lee got tense when someone said that it wasn't over yet. Turned out a brave man stepped onto the court, catching everyone's attention, saying he wanted to play against Jason Lee. Jason Lee turned around, saw him, and laughed again, thinking it was just some small fry in his way. Old man was shaking all over, barely able to stand, but he still wanted to face the player, saying it was his turn to attack. Basketball player told the grandpa to go get some sleep since he couldn't even stand properly, and asked if he really wanted the gold that much. The old man said money didn't matter here, and basketball wasn't what Jason Lee thought it was. Jason Lee laughed in that arrogant way again and asked the old man why he was preaching, then grabbed a ball and got ready to fight. He tossed the ball forward using his super abilities and yelled at the old man to show what he could do. The old man tensed up when he saw the spinning ball flying straight toward him. Other guys freaked out for the old man since Jason Lee threw the ball super hard. They yelled for him to dodge fast. Grandpa froze up, total panic hit him, and the ball thrown with insane force was already just centimeters from his face. Lucky for him, someone saved him. Some unknown guy stepped in for the old man and stopped the ball with his hand. Shocked old man just stood there like glued to the ground, not moving at all. He didn't even get what just happened yet. Turned out our hero Yayu stepped in for him. He walked onto the court wearing a mask and stopped the basketball. All the basketball stars were stunned when they finally saw someone who looked like a real match for Jason Lee. Everyone watched with mouths open, and the commentator said today was truly full of surprises since a mysterious guy just entered the court. Shinran, still streaming, was shocked when he saw who exactly walked out onto the basketball court. The blonde dude tensed up when he realized it was his friend Yayu, and he straight up called him a bastard. Yayu, meanwhile, still held the basketball in his hand and spoke to the stunned old man. The kid grabbed the ball and told the old man to go rest a bit and let him handle this part. Court had only Yayu and his opponent Jason Lee left, both standing far from each other just staring. Yayu, his face partly hidden by a black mask, looked super serious, burning his opponent with this heavy stare. Our guy didn't break eye contact and asked the undefeated player if he would try going one-on-one with him. That made Jason Lee smile since all the people he beat were pros. And now some tiny shrimp stood in front of him. Main dude didn't listen to his trash talk. He rushed forward with the ball in his hand, his body glowing with this magic blue light. Jason Lee jumped into the play right away, running forward too and reaching out to snatch the ball from him. Player lifted off the ground trying to take back control of the ball while in midair. Blocking his opponent's path with his body, Jason Lee yelled at the kid to try doing a dunk. Staring at the young guy with wild eyes, Jason Lee screamed that he wouldn't get through. In that moment, our guy tensed up. He looked at his opponent kinda scared and froze for a second. But then he snapped back fast and grabbed the ball tight, rushing forward, his eyes starting to glow bright. With some crazy speed of his own, Yayu used his ability and managed to slip right past his opponent's defense. Jason Lee got super pissed seeing that. He clenched his teeth hard, showing them, and his eyes lit up with this bright purple glow. Main guy was already one step away from scoring. He jumped toward the hoop and swung his hand back to throw the ball in. Shot went in clean, ball slid through the hoop, so Yayu fairly earned that point for himself. Yayu grabbed the metal rim with one hand for a second before dropping back onto the court. His opponent tried chasing him down to stop him, not even realizing it was way too late for that. Main guy landed safely on the floor with his legs wide apart while his opponent stood behind him in shock. After that, Yayu turned around and gave the mysterious player a cautious look, not relaxing even after scoring his first point. Jason Lee got beaten for the first time today, so he just stood there with his mouth open and couldn't say a word to the guy. Commentator said this battle was insane, and when the mysterious dude hit that tough defense, he suddenly sped up. Talking about our hero's move, host hyped him up, saying Yayu's steps were fast like some kind of storm. The guy broke through his opponent's defense again, keeping control of the ball, and jumped up once he reached the hoop. Yayu took another shot, this time from a bit farther out, while his opponent tried stopping him but still couldn't. A month ago, our boy made the same kind of shot into a hoop, but back then it wasn't on a court. It was right at his home. That time he got interrupted by his mom asking what he was even doing in there. The kid said he just woke up and his mom told him not to forget to take his medicine. Yayu said he already took his pills, and there were a whole bunch of them sitting on his desk. His mood was great since he felt really good today, and he was set on winning the match that was coming. His mom was leaving for a work trip. Yayu asked when she'll be back, and she said not earlier than half a month since she had 2 meetings ahead. The woman put on her shoes and told her son not to forget his meds and to eat only healthy food. The kid listened. She told him to text her if he runs out of money, not watch TV for too long, and not forget school stuff even during break. Mom asked him one more important thing, to not overdo sports. The guy agreed and checked what was inside the fridge. After closing the fridge, our boy remembered he wanted to ask her something else, but she already shut the door and left. Yayu changed into his school uniform and went to school. He looked at the time and saw he still had time to grab a drink. The kid walked down the busy city street, looking around with this curious vibe. He noticed a big banner saying that opening of Manhwa basketball town was only 2 months away. Yayu dreamed of seeing the basketball stars who would play a show match there, but he wasn't sure he could get tickets. The main guy walked up to a small store to buy a drink before heading to school. Guy walked in and said hi, waving at the shop owner who was sitting in a wheelchair since he was paralyzed. Seller asked Yayu what he'd been doing these last couple days while he didn't see him, and reminded him he wanted to study hard. Winking a bit, the man offered the kid to play a mobile basketball game and help him rank up, saying he'd give him a prize for it. Yayu said no since he had a meeting planned. The seller thought he was going on a date, but Yayu asked who would even look at someone like him. He asked the seller if there were any energy drinks left, and the guy said there were still a few cans on the top shelves. Main dude started sweating trying to reach the cans up there, complaining about why they had to put them so high. He managed to stretch his arm to the top shelf, but one of the cans suddenly slipped and fell down. Seller saw that and rushed forward, spinning wheels of his chair fast to save the can before it hit the floor. Quick Guy caught the energy drink with his hand right before it touched the ground. After that, the seller didn't say a word to the kid, just raised his hand up again, holding the can with his fingers. His strong, kind of muscular arms suddenly started glowing bright blue, making these little whirlwinds around it and the drink can. Main Guy opened his mouth in shock and just stared at the seller, totally blown away by what he just saw him do. Meanwhile, the seller was already using his superpower and managed to lift the drink can up into the air. Yayu watched stunned as the man made the energy drink float back up toward the top shelf just by moving his hand. The can landed right where it was before it fell, leaving this streak of bright blue light behind it. After that, the drink kept spinning on its axis for a bit, glowing from all those bright little swirls. Main Guy was legit speechless after seeing the man's powers. He just stood there with his mouth open, not saying anything. On his way back, Yayu couldn't stop thinking about how awesome that throw looked, how the guy's muscles got tight like a spring, and the drink twisted into this powerful spiral. He'd heard before about a power release method called spiral energy, and it really looked like the man used that same idea. He dreamed of using that technique together with both offense and defense styles of basketball players, so he could actually win a match and stop being just kind of background decoration. When Yayu showed up at the court, his friend told him he was late, but Yayu said it was actually them who came way too early. Another friend of our guy turned around and said they even had time to warm up while he was running late. Shinran told him to act normal during the match. Like always, just analyze the enemy strategy while they handle the game. Opponents already arrived, saying they came kinda early too, and asked if Shinran and his friends were just dying to lose today. Their leader, this tough dude with blue hair, reminded them that if they lose today, they'll never step on this court again. Shinran asked how someone with such weak skills could have that much confidence, and said this was a public court, anyone has right to be here. Opponent crossed his arms and snorted when Shinran said the ones who should leave were these punks. The guy gave a creepy smile and told Shinran it was all empty talk, and last time his team only lost cause someone messed them up. Leaders of both teams stood face to face, and Shinran told the rival to stop talking and just start the game already. Our guy stepped between them and reminded everyone about 3-on-3 rules, saying a coin toss decides who gets ball first. Guy with blue hair yelled there was no need for that and said they'd start first, then rushed forward to grab the ball. He got the ball first and shouted that now his team, the one who did it, would win the game, and Shinran called him a bastard for that. Cocky Dude was already running ahead with full control of the ball, getting closer to the hoop, while Shinran tried desperately to catch up. Blue-haired guy made a face when he saw Shinran right in front of him, who somehow outran him and blocked his path. He yelled about how insanely fast his opponent was, while Shinran kept guarding his team's hoop. The leader of the opponents decided to pass the ball back to his friend, and Yayu tried to steal it from him. The blonde guy jumped up to shoot the ball from far away, and Yayu just didn't have enough height to stop him. Our guy thought his opponent jumped too far. The ball's path shifted a bit, so it definitely wouldn't go in. So he shouted to his friend right away that the shot would miss and he should get ready to catch the ball. Turned out he was right. The ball hit the rim and bounced off, so the opponent team didn't get any points. Shinran jumped up to grab the ball and take control again, and the blue-haired guy tried doing the same. Cap Guy was shocked since he was sure his shot would land and couldn't get how this kid predicted it. Shinran wiped his nose and told his opponent that starting first doesn't mean he scores, and now it was his team's turn to attack. He rushed forward with the ball while our guy got blocked by an opponent so he couldn't help his teammate. Yayu, who got the ball for a moment, instantly passed it back to his partner and best friend before the enemy could steal it. Shinran caught the basketball clean and gave our guy a quick smile, kinda thanking him for that accurate pass. He started running forward, telling his opponent he should try catching him first if he really wants to win. The blonde dude jumped up to throw the ball into the hoop while the opponent tried to stop him. When Shinran scored again for his team, he yelled that since they made the point, they get to keep attacking. Cap Guy tensed up because he knew they might lose. And what stressed him most was that nerdy kid with his sharp, staring eyes. He kinda knew this nerdy guy had good analytic skills, but also had a weak spot. Match just started and he was already out of breath. Player decided to block those two, especially Shinran, and not pay attention to the nerd, since in the game he was pretty much zero even if he was smart. Shinran noticed the opponents decided to focus on him and his partner, because they figured out our guy was weak at playing. Main dude holding the ball realized it was a perfect chance for him, since the opponents were locked on his teammates instead of him. Yayu decided to use a move he saw earlier today at his uncle's shop, something like a spiral energy trick. He thought if he calculated the force right, he would for sure make the shot, He just had to twist his arm inward and send the impulse from shoulder to wrist. The guy made up his mind to show everyone a move he invented himself, calling it the hurricane throw. Players didn't get what he was doing and tried warning Yayu that from such long distance he would never hit the hoop. But our hero didn't listen. He used the hurricane throw, spinning the ball with wind-like force and sending it toward the opponent's hoop. Shinran was shocked when he saw strong wind swirling around the ball. His best friend looked like a completely different person today. Main guy really believed he could pull this off. And meanwhile, the ball started spinning so fast it made like a whole tornado of bright light around itself. Opponents stared up with mouths open as the ball flew over them. And they suddenly realized they kinda underestimated this short dude after seeing his speed and power. Basketball ball shot straight toward the enemy hoop, leaving a bright hurricane trail behind it. But sadly, our guy messed up his power at the worst moment, and it wasn't enough for the ball to reach the hoop. The throw was so bad that it went right into the hands of one of the enemy team players. They were so shocked by Yeyu's awkward try to score that they just stood there in silence for a bit, completely frozen. Then players couldn't hold it anymore and started laughing loud at him, joking that the throw was amazing. His teammate clicked his tongue in disappointment, wiped sweat off his forehead and let out a heavy sigh, saying the chance was gone. He yelled at Yayu, asking why he even tried to shoot instead of passing, and said he should stay in his position if he wants to be the strategist. Main guy lowered his eyes to the ground in shame. Feeling awful, he let his team down, and quietly said he just wanted to help. Guy in glasses clearly didn't expect his best friend to suddenly grab him by the neck and drag him somewhere. Shinran tried to hype him up, saying that was crazy cool and the opponents were shocked by his shot, and the guy looked kinda like a Dragon Ball character. Our dude started feeling better when his friend told him to chill a bit, since he almost made it, and they'd definitely win later. Opponent reminded him the match was still going and asked if they really decided to give up before it even ended. Now the ball was under control of the guy in the cap. He rushed forward to score, not knowing someone was already watching them. Opponents managed to score on their hoop, even though Shinran's teammate tried to stop them. After that, our main guy stole the ball back when they surrounded him, and he decided to pass it to his friend. Shinran grabbed the ball and instantly dashed forward, but the enemy team leader blocked his path with his broad chest. Blue-haired dude snatched the ball from Shinran and scored, hanging on the rim after getting points for his team. He asked those weaklings why they still hadn't woken up yet since the match was almost over, and said they still had a chance to give up. Shinran decided to make a rough joke at him, pushing him to get even more angry, and the opponent called him an ungrateful freak. Blonde guy wasn't planning to give up, just one more point left till win, and he was sure his team would take it. Ball went under control of a player from other team, and Shinran yelled at our guy to block him right now. Yayu tried hard to block the opponent's move, but the dude in cap tossed the ball to his teammate. While the ball was flying, Shinran realized this was their chance to take control and score the deciding point for their team. He managed to catch the ball before the blue-haired guy grabbed it and asked if he seriously can't even catch it. Shinran shouted, calling his teammates to move forward, to attack, and the blue-haired show-off rushed after him trying to stop him. Player in cap told his teammate to stop Shinran already and quit talking, saying they just can't lose this match. Blue-haired guy complained about Shinran being way too fast and tried desperately to catch up to him. A red-haired player jumped in front of the blonde kid and yelled that the bastard wouldn't break through his defense. Shinran didn't expect that at all. He started kinda cursing in his head since his plan to score got totally messed up. He really wouldn't be able to break through that big guy's defense, so he passed the ball to our hero, yelling that now it all depends on him. Yayu knew he messed up last time. Now he was sure he had to score, he just needed to use both hands. Main dude focused up and activated his special move again. Little wind swirls started spinning around his body. He raised his arms up with the ball over his head, wind wrapping around it, and he hoped that this time it would actually work. But right in worst moment, he felt those heart problems again. The chronic ones he's had for a while. Even so, he still held the ball, planning to use his last bit of strength and make the shot anyway. Yayu jumped up to make it easier for himself to reach the hoop, and his opponent yelled, asking if he was trying to sneak in a shot at that moment. Guy with blue hair didn't let our hero do it. He blocked him hard and stood in front of him like a wall. With this wide, creepy smile, he yelled, asking the main guy if he really thought he could pull that off again. One of the players knocked the ball out of Yeyu's hand so hard that he lost balance and started falling down. Main guy fell on his back and kinda twisted from pain, teeth clenched. His glasses flew off his face while the player stared at him with this crazy look. Yayu shut his eyes and screamed from fear. He kinda accepted his fate and didn't even try to brace for the fall. His best friend noticed our guy was in trouble and rushed forward, trying to catch him before he hit the ground. Blonde dude pushed himself as hard as he could to make it in time, screaming his friend's name in pure panic. But sadly, Yayu still fell, and the opponent started laughing, saying he was only good at dragging his team down. Our hero's partner yelled at Yayu, blaming him for Shinran falling and breaking his arm while trying to save him. When Yayu put his glasses back on, he flinched hard and yelled, saying sorry to his best friend for getting him into this mess. Opponent team kept mocking them, saying they were weak and they didn't even use all their strength yet. Winners gave them this nasty smile, saying how sick it made them to look at them, and told them to get lost and never think about coming back to the court. Main guy clenched his teeth from anger at the opponents. He wanted to say something back but got cut off. His teammate yelled, telling him to forget those jerks because they had to get Shinran to hospital right now. But after all the stress, Yayu suddenly had an asthma attack. He panicked hard, grabbing his chest because he just couldn't breathe. Someone asked if he was okay. Yayu lied, saying he was fine, and they told him to hurry up since they had to get his friend to hospital fast. Main guy dropped to his knees, quietly telling the guys to go ahead and he'd catch up later. Yayu was getting worse every second. He really needed his inhaler but couldn't find it anywhere. When he fell down, his inhaler slipped out of his pocket. It landed pretty close, and Yayu tried reaching it with his hand. Blue-haired dude, walking away, told Yayu that brains alone don't get you anywhere in basketball and that this sport isn't for nobodies like him. Main guy stayed on the ground, not having strength to get up, still trying to reach his inhaler but failing. Yayu crawled toward his medicine, stretching his hand toward the inhaler with all he had, but he still couldn't grab it. Last bit of strength left our guy, asthma hit him hard and he was gasping. He put his head on the asphalt and looked off to the side. He looked at the basketball lying alone on the court near him, kind of symbol of his favorite thing in life. Situation got even worse when heavy rain started pouring. Whole court got covered in water right away. Yayu had no strength to fight anymore. He closed his eyes and twisted from pain, tears running down his face, asthma still not letting go. When a bright lightning flashed up in the sky, a tall, mysterious man in a black cloak showed up in front of him. Man crouched next to him and said, "Yayu," and the state he was in was just a total disappointment. Stranger held out a bottle with some liquid, saying he wasn't sure it would help, but ancient people used it like 3,000 years ago. He said he hoped it would help Yayu, telling him that legend says this elixir can unlock some hidden human potential. When he let the kid drink a bit, it hit him right away. His veins turned blue and Yayu started groaning from pain. Man warned him that the effect depends on person itself, and Yayu had to stay strong. A dark shape of another man showed up. He was told to take the kid away while the kid kept screaming from pain. After one last scream, Yayu passed out, and when he started waking up, he saw this big round stained glass window in front of him. Through his half-closed eyes, he began looking around the place he ended up in. First thing he thought was that he just had some weird dream. Main guy opened his eyes wider and saw this strange room with tall green columns and a window on the ceiling. Yayu had no idea where he was, if he was alive or dead, and he got even more confused when he noticed a man's silhouette ahead. An old man with gray hair and a long beard sat there in light robes, eyes closed, just meditating. The old dude opened his eyes and stared at our young guy in silence, which made Yayu even more on edge. Before this, he had a scary dream where a bunch of red demonic hands tried grabbing him while he lay there in his school uniform. The kid screamed at them not to come closer and kept saying he wasn't scared, but one of the hands grabbed him by the throat. Soon, all those red hands grabbed him at once. He screamed his lungs out, begging them to let him go. Suddenly, Yayu woke up, eyes wide open, breathing fast, and first thing he thought about was where his inhaler went. Guy froze for a moment when he realized he was in a totally unfamiliar place, and his asthma attack was actually gone. He had been on the basketball court just a second ago, remembered how his friend broke his arm and how his own asthma kicked in. Yayu started checking his breathing. That choking feeling was gone, and even without inhaler, he could breathe super easy. Our young dude got even more confused when he noticed his glasses weren't on him, even though he always wears them. Yayu had strong myopia his whole life, but now he could see perfectly without glasses, and he had no clue what was going on. Even that constant anxiety and chest pain just disappeared. He turned around because someone in the room caught his attention. Far away, he noticed someone standing there and realized he wasn't the only one in this weird room with columns. Yayu yelled out when he saw it was some kind of Taoist sage. He guessed that this white-haired old man might be his savior. Main guy stood up leaning on a column, greeted the old dude with the long beard and asked if he was the one who saved him. The guy said this place felt super weird because those green columns didn't even touch the ceiling. They were like 5 meters tall and he had no idea what they were for. Yayu tried yelling to the old sage, calling out to him a few times and asking what this place was. but the old man just stayed silent. Main dude walked closer to the sage, waving his hand in front of him and asking if he knew how to get out of here. The kid didn't stop trying to reach the silent grandpa. He even started greeting him in Japanese and Korean. Yayu wanted to bring his finger up to the old man's face to check his breath, thinking maybe he was dead. Main guy froze when a moment later the old man kind of vanished. The grandpa shot forward, tearing through the air. The dude barely had time to lift his head when he saw that mysterious sage flying right over him. Sage's abilities were unreal. He literally shot up toward the ceiling, rushing to the top of the columns. Main guy opened his mouth wide, eyes shocked as he watched that silver-haired old man fly. The old man with long gray hair landed clean on top of one of the green columns. Grandpa glanced at our guy and called him a rude kid, saying he's only like 120 years old and still way too young to be dead. Yayu asked if the old sage really understood him, and the old man said just because he stays quiet doesn't mean he doesn't get what he's saying. Main dude said that wasn't the main thing right now. He was more curious how the sage even managed to jump onto top of the pillar. Yayu's head filled with physics formulas. Old man's height was over 3 meters, and he doubted any person could jump that high even if he was super light. He started guessing maybe the old guy was made of straw or something, plugging in numbers for force, jump speed, push power, and body mass trying to make sense of it. Yayu grabbed his head and yelled that this was impossible, because what the old man did kind of breaks the law of mass conservation. The guy thought maybe he was just dreaming, tried to wake himself up, and decided he needed to get out of this weird place fast using his phone. Main dude jumped in fear when he saw there was no signal here and yelled that he's totally doomed. Feeling hopeless, he fell on his knees and said he got himself into huge trouble and now he's stuck here with that old man. Grandpa got mad at him and started yelling, complaining about modern kids who can't do anything without their phones. Old man pointed at a door and told the kid he could leave if he wanted. Yayu turned around and said he didn't see any door, asking what he was even talking about. The wise guy yelled for our hero to look up, and the boy got confused when he saw a door way up near the ceiling. Main character shouted, asking the old man if he was joking because that door was crazy high. But the old man reminded him he wanted to get out anyway, and Yayu, sweating from all the stress, turned back and looked at him again. Stroking his long gray beard while sitting on top of this tall pillar, the old man asked what the boy was waiting for then. Wise man said that if Yayu wants to escape, he first wanted to try climbing to the top of that high pillar. Yayu got pissed and yelled, saying the old guy was keeping him here against his will and he better let him go right now. Old man said the kid could leave if he really wanted. The door was right in front of him, and added that humans only know how to brag. He shouted that Yayu needs to show what he's able to do if he's got even a drop of courage, instead of running faster than anyone when stuff goes bad. Wise man got mad when Yayu called him a crazy old dude and said he didn't have time to chat because he had to find a way out. The guy started checking out the walls in this room, punching them with his fists and complaining why everything here was so damn solid. He let out a heavy sigh when he realized there were no hidden doors at all, so he'd have to find some other way out. So Yayu started yelling like crazy, calling for help and asking if anyone was here, while the old sage just watched in silence. His head got dizzy from all the screaming. He leaned on his knees with both hands and started breathing hard after shouting so long. The guy turned around, looked at the old man and suggested they make some kind of deal, since he couldn't get out on his own. Main dude walked back to the tall column and tried talking to the sage again, but the old man just sat up there ignoring him. Sage stayed silent, and the guy kept trying to reach him, calling him again and again, warning that he'd get locked up if Yayu died here from asthma. Yayu figured he'd have to climb that column, but even if he got up there, there were still like 4 meters to the door, so he didn't believe he'd escape that way. The guy touched the column. It was super smooth with nothing to grab onto, and he couldn't imagine climbing to the top with bare hands. Main dude placed his palm on the green marble column and wondered if it was even possible to get up there at all. When Yayu asked himself if he could do it, his mind kind of jumped back to childhood, when he stood near this tall tree touching its rough bark. Back then, little Shinran had already climbed up and told his friend that Yayu tried like 10 times already, and it was dangerous since he could get an asthma attack. But little Yayu told his best friend it was fine. He believed he would manage to climb up without any help. Main guy felt like he was watching his younger self from outside, that small kid who wanted to climb the tree on his own. But Shinran still decided to help and offered his shoulder so Yayu could step on it and pull himself upward. Yayu clenched both fists and agreed to take his friend's help. He believed he would make it this time. Thinking back to that moment now, our guy suddenly felt that same trust in himself and started planning how to get up this marble column. Idea of making a rope out of clothes didn't work. and he realized he had sneakers with a non-slip sole that could create strong friction on the surface. He came up with a plan. He'd have to sprint, push off, then jump and use the friction between his shoe and the column like in parkour. He understood he'd need 2 pushes to reach the top if he picked right speed, power, and angle of his body during the jump. Main guy said it was the only way that could work and that he would pull it off, so he rushed forward. Yayu tried building up speed before jumping at the column. He yelled kinda wildly, putting all his strength into it. Old man started watching the kid with real interest. He wanted to see how good Yayu actually was. Our young hero sped up, jumped, and managed to get 1 foot on the column, climbing a bit more than a meter up. But he didn't have enough strength or agility to reach the top, so he started falling back down. Main hero totally lost balance and hit the stone floor on his back, not even having time to brace for it. The old wise guy watching all this thought that fall looked painful, and Yayu was still laying on the ground. The elder was sure the kid would give up after that, but then stared at him shocked, still watching with curiosity. The guy gritted his teeth and let out a painful grunt. He tried to get up and realized he just jumped at a wrong angle, that's why it didn't work. He pulled himself together, stood back up, decided he had to try again, and rushed forward once more to jump onto the column. Main guy picked up speed and tried jumping onto the column again. This time he managed to place his foot on it once more. But he still couldn't climb all the way to the top, same as last time, and ended up crashing back down on the floor. Yayu kept trying to get up the column, but every attempt failed. He fell hard each time, but kept getting back up. After another try, he again hit the ground, this time landing face first, but he still didn't give up. Old Sage decided this kid was kinda promising. He kept watching him silently and didn't offer any help. Yayu, covered in scrapes, wiped his dirty, sweaty face with his hand and said that this time he'd totally make it. Old man thought this boy was really unusual, since he kept improving his technique every time and reached this level in such a short time. He also felt it was even more important that Yayu didn't even realize the potion he drank earlier had activated some sleeping particles inside his body. Main guy made another attempt to jump on the column, but yelled that he was falling again and tried grabbing onto it. The kid tried gripping the smooth green marble column with his hand and yelled that he couldn't keep doing this anymore. He was super close to the top. Our guy started screaming his lungs out, trying to grab the column with fingers that were already bleeding. Right then, the potion he drank earlier kinda woke up. Veins on his face and neck turned bright blue, and the dude went crazy. Old man who saw it got terrified and yelled that something was really wrong. The guy's whole body changed. He went from a skinny kid to a huge muscular dude, the potion fully activated. The old man instantly rushed down, jumping off his tall column since he understood something really bad was happening. Meanwhile, our hero slipped from the column again and started falling, all the veins on his body glowing bright blue. The sage was running past right when the main guy fell backwards straight toward him, and his body kept getting bigger. Yayu had no plan to give up. Falling down, he raised his hand again, trying to grab onto the green column. He actually did it, getting insane strength. The guy grabbed the column so hard his fingers crushed the marble. Driven mad by that magic potion, Yayu now held onto the column with one hand, saving himself from smashing into the ground. Old man stood down there, kinda confused, lifting his head and watching what was going on above him. He understood that whatever was happening to the kid right now was bad, and something had to be done to save him. He saw how the pain sped up the potion inside Yayu's body. Particles inside him were expanding with crazy speed, and the power was taking over his mind. Face of our guy looked totally insane. His clear look was gone, and he clenched his teeth hard while being fully controlled by that wild force. Old man still stood below watching him with worry, when suddenly Yayu turned his attention to him. The kid, starting to hallucinate from the magic potion, thought that in front of him wasn't an old man but an actual basketball. Yayu already forgot his original goal, now he just wanted that basketball, and he jumped down trying to grab it with his hand. The wise man didn't get what was going on yet, and didn't realize the kid thought his head was a basketball. Old man used his power, reaching his hand forward and yelling that the boy's body was full of inner energy, but it was all chaotic. Grandpa warned Yayu that he'd help him guide that energy the right way, then pushed his power straight into the kid's chest. Yayu, who was blasting out these red streams of wild energy, got thrown back when the old man pushed him away with some kind of magic force. Once our guy landed far enough to be safe, the old man put two fingers together and shot another wave of power at him. First thing he did was send a burst of bright yellow healing energy right into Yayu's chest. After that, the old man started poking him on the 7th neck vertebra, the gate of life, center point, throat, all that stuff. Next step was guiding that healing energy into the lifeline, sitting right in the middle of his chest. Grandpa kept helping him and shouted a spell to make the guy's energy flow along one single path. A stripe of bright yellow light stretched across Yayu's whole body while he was still under that crazy force. The old man said the energy should move from Baihui Point down to Yongquan Point and told him to focus on his dantian when the energy merges. Yayu started turning back to his normal form. He kinda groaned and said he felt warmth spreading through his whole body. Confused Guy looked at the old man and asked what was going on, but the old man told him to stay quiet while holding him up in the air with one hand. Old man told him to focus, breathe through his nose, keep concentrating till his breath reaches dantian, and remember the breathing method. Yayu looked at his hand when the sage told him to use his heart and his senses to feel that power inside him, the one coming from every breath. Man talked about power that comes from every drop of blood. And right then, the force in the kid's blood vessels started to calm down. The sage told him to feel that power coming from every tiny part inside him, saying he had to learn to control it and make it obey. He said Yayu let that power reach whatever he wanted the most, pushing it to do something he never managed to do before. Boy's eyes turned bright blue and changed completely, and he listened carefully to the old man giving him instructions. Main Guy let out a heavy breath when he finally kinda came back to himself. First thing he did was look at the sage, who now stood silent in front of him. Looking at the old man staring at him without saying a single word, our guy had no idea what was going on. When he stood up, perspective felt weird since he was looking down at the grandpa instead of up at him. Yayu looked at his hands, now pretty big and muscular, and it slowly hit him what actually happened. Guy lowered his eyes, looked at his new strong body and kinda realized he suddenly got way taller. He started touching his face and body. His eyes looked super scared. He still couldn't get how any of this even happened. Main dude was shocked when he noticed he turned into a muscular guy. He couldn't understand why he suddenly got a body like that. Old man told him that inside human cells there are a lot of mitochondria, and with aerobic breathing they can turn food and water into energy. Mitochondrial cells can make a virtual particle known in Tao stuff as qi, and that energy can let a person go kinda beyond his normal body. Potion. Yayu drank didn't just activate his cells and speed up growth, it also let him make more of them through breathing. The sage said that before this his nerve path started shaking in a chaotic way, which made those virtual particles grow fast, and now he'd teach him how to control them. He said he'd teach the guy one breathing exercise that helps strengthen bones and control those energy vibes. Old man told him to focus on his dantian and let the energy flow free, and they both stood in the same pose. Main dude followed his new teacher and copied all the moves. He spread his legs wide and stretched his arms to the sides. Now Yayu could control his power way better. Some soft, calm aura kinda wrapped around his body, and he was ready to climb the column again. When the old man said virtual particles could make a person faster and lighter, he focused hard and dashed forward. Gritting his teeth, the guy tried climbing the column with his new strength, and he actually managed to jump onto it. Yayu climbed all the way to the top of the green marble column on his first try, once he took control of his power. He landed fine and looked at his teacher who was standing on the next green column nearby. Main dude got super excited, he yelled that this was amazing and he finally did it. Old man looked confused, asking if the kid was really that happy just because he managed to jump onto a column. He said the boy has to reach the door to get out, and Yayu started doubting if he could really do that. The sage asked what was wrong, saying the kid already climbed the column once and just needed one more jump toward the door. That pumped our guy up again, and he told the old man he was right and said he should be able to do it. Main guy got ready for this kind of sneaky jump. He crouched down and looked at the door up on the wall, saying he'll try doing it. Without thinking too long, he yelled like crazy, clenched his fists, and jumped from that green marble column toward the door. Yayu stayed super focused on the task. He reached his hand out trying to grab the wall, already like one step from the target. Our young dude tensed up when he realized the door was way too far and he wouldn't reach it, so he had to drop back down to the floor. He thought the distance was just too big and even a master would fail, but then the sage decided to show him the jump himself. When Yayu looked up and saw the old man jumping, he thought there's no way he could ever get up there. But during the jump, the old man activated his power. His legs suddenly lit up, and a bright ring of light showed up around it. The kid was shocked when he saw the old guy just push off his own leg to reach the door. Yayu couldn't understand how that was even possible, because even if the master used virtual particles, pushing off should pull him down, not up. Sage called him a fool and said this was cloud climbing technique, and while using it, those virtual particles get released. He said that when those particles hit their peak, they can kinda cancel gravity. But there's one pretty important catch to make it work. Old man said it's all about happiness. Only the happiest memories push the brain to make endorphins, and those instantly open up the potential of these virtual particles. Main guy looked at the master all confused and tried to think about the happiest thing he had in his life. Now, all his thoughts were about what happiness even means for him, and he got ready to climb the column again. Thinking only about happiness, our guy managed to get halfway up the tall column super easily and pushed himself off it. Old man noticed Yayu use the side of the column like a support, and by doing that he could shrink the distance to the door by moving kinda diagonal. Main guy jumped forward trying to reach the door, stretched his hand out, still thinking only about happiness. His mind was full of happy moments, like when he was little playing basketball and spending time with his best friend. All his happiest memories were tied to Shinran and all the time they spent together, including playing basketball. But suddenly his face turned really worried, his head went blank, and he couldn't use that happiness power to reach his goal. Yayu messed up. He got tangled in his own legs trying to push off the way his master did earlier. Kid's eyes went super scared when he realized he wouldn't reach the door again. He didn't have enough strength to make a clean jump. He missed the wall and started falling flat on the floor again. Thinking about happiness again, he remembered his mom, how he was little and walked with her, and she let him have some ice cream because his asthma got a bit better. Walking down the street with his mom, the kind of sad boy looked to the side. Something caught his attention. He saw a happy family. A kid sitting on his dad's shoulders trying to reach a balloon that flew away, and the dad promised he'd buy another one. Hurt by what he saw, Yayu asked his mom what his dad looks like and when he would finally get to see him. Mom stopped, crouched down in front of him and stroked his head, asking Yayu to listen to her carefully. The woman hugged him and admitted that his dad went far away and they wouldn't be able to see each other for a very long time. When Yayu got back home, he crawled under his bed to find an old photo album and look at what his dad looked like. But his attention got grabbed not by the album but by this big cardboard box that was hidden under the bed and had been getting dusty for years. He pulled it out from under the bed, realizing it was the box his mom told him never to open, and he got curious why it was even here. The kid decided to open it anyway, even though his mom forbid it, and inside he found a basketball and a note. It was a note from his dad, saying he was sorry he wasn't there when the boy was born, and that he always dreamed of hugging him and spending every day together. Happy Yayu started looking at the basketball, and the letter said this was his first gift from his dad. The kid began imagining hanging out with his dad on a court playing with this ball. Yayu read in the letter how his dad hoped that someday they would get to play basketball together. Hugging his first gift from his dad tight, the boy couldn't hold back tears, and his biggest dream now was to play basketball with him. When he fell to the floor again after another failed jump, he closed his eyes and remembered that moment from his childhood. Realizing what real happiness meant to him, Yayu opened his eyes and smiled, getting this new burst of strength to keep fighting. Yayu kept falling headfirst, but now his body got wrapped in this soft blue light, kind of like his strength was coming back. The kid pulled his legs in and tightened up his body, and this even brighter blue aura showed up around him, power slowly rising. He managed to push off with one leg so he'd jump back up instead of crashing into the floor, and finally got close to that damn door. With new strength kicking in, the guy started flying upward, already halfway to that small door set in the wall above the ceiling. Yayu reached his hand forward trying to grab the doorway. He knew he was super close but still couldn't touch it. In that moment, he remembered his uncle who works in a shop and has this signature move, so he decided to try it out. Main dude stretched his arms out to the sides, trying to make them like blades that would make wind spin around him. Using that uncle's trick from the shop, Yayu actually created a whole tornado of magic wind around himself. Wind got so strong the kid smacked his head into the wall. He winced and let out this painful little grunt. Even the old sage watched in shock at what his new student was doing, not expecting him to pull off anything like that. Grabbing his head with one hand, our guy still managed to catch the door frame and hang on it. Main dude was breathing hard, using his last bit of strength to pull himself up onto the ledge that would lead him out of this weird place. The old man knew Yayu still couldn't fully control that cloud climbing technique. But in that critical moment, the kid came up with his own way. The guy smiled and gave the man a thumbs up, and the sage thought he was looking at a truly talented kid. Main character went down on one knee in front of the old man, put his hands together and thanked his teacher for the guidance. The old man said he never took him as a student, told him to go, but to remember his pure goal and not fall off his path. Yayu agreed to follow his words and stepped through the door with confidence, hoping to finally get outside. The guy squinted at the bright warm light waiting behind the door, and right away guessed it might be the exit. A glowing triangle-shaped door felt super strange to him, and now Yayu was sure this didn't really look like an exit. When Yayu got closer, he reached his hand out and felt strong heat. and he thought maybe the door was surrounded by flames. He still walked through that door and ended up in some even stranger space. He had no idea where he landed. Main guy freaked out when the triangle door shut right away, leaving him trapped in a room with a floor kinda made of magma. The kid started looking around, not knowing how to get out, and didn't even notice a ball flying straight at him yet. He yelled, asking if anyone was here, and a second later a basketball hit him right in the head. Hit was so strong it knocked him down. He grabbed his face and got pissed, shouting, "What was that?" Yayu kept yelling, demanding someone answer who was here, and some unknown person kept throwing balls at him. He realized someone was hiding in the dark and launching balls at him. Hits were way too fast. Attacks kept coming non-stop, and he couldn't dodge any of them. Main guy figured he needed to force that person to show himself, and this time he noticed where the basketball was coming from. He remembered his master's words, saying that instead of just dodging, sometimes you got strike back. Time came to try Cloud and Thunder Palm, a burst of non-stop attacks. He reached his hand forward to block the ball. Yayu threw the ball back at whoever tossed it at him and yelled at the coward to stop hiding and finally show himself. A flaming basketball flew toward its owner, this guy in a dark suit with long black hair. In his hand, that man had a knife, and he decided to use it to defend himself from our hero's counterattack. With the tip of the knife, he stabbed through the basketball and kind of praised our guy, saying that old man trained him pretty well. The man finally stepped out and said, "Welcome to Fire Tower," and introduced himself as the keeper of this place. Yayu was confused since his master told him he could leave through that door, so he asked the man where the exit was. Keeper got stunned and asked if the old man seriously didn't tell him this place was called Tower of 5 Elements, and that wise guy was only keeper of 1. Main hero was shocked hearing he ended up in a tower made for leveling basketball skills, and he still had 4 more to pass to get out. Fire Tower Keeper confirmed he must beat all element towers to reach outside and asked if he was ready for the trial. Not waiting for reply, Fire Tower Keeper frowned at the kid and said they were starting now. Our young hero tried to stop him right before the trial started because he wanted to ask the man one more question. He asked if he would pass to the next stage just by blocking the ball, and the man said no, blocking was only the first step. Yayu got scared when the man said he'd need to score in a hoop that keeps moving, and with all the flashing lights it was almost impossible to see. Clenching his fists, our hero said the task would be hard, but he was ready, and one of the balls was already flying right at him. He managed to block the ball on first try. Reaching one hand out, he grabbed it and ran forward. The guy jumped toward the hoop, thinking he wanted to use that cloud climbing technique the old man taught him in the previous tower. But the guardian of the fire tower didn't let that happen. He punched Yayu right in the face, and the kid let out a painful grunt. Main character dropped the ball and fell to the floor, yelling at the man, asking what he was doing. Yayu was shocked by how the man acted and stared at the guardian all angry and confused. Guardian of the Fire Tower wagged his finger and told the kid that getting close to the hoop was against the rules of this trial. Main guy, trying to get up after that hard fall, asked the man why he didn't tell him this right away. Man in the black suit tossed another flaming basketball at him, kinda offering to keep going. Yayu grabbed the ball. He tried focusing on how the hoop was moving and wanted to figure out its speed and path so he could guess where it would end up. Now all he had to do was throw the ball using that spiral energy, speeding it up with those virtual particles. Main guy threw the ball charged with virtual particles and wind, hoping he could score on first try. But the ball never made it to the hoop. It got ripped into pieces when someone shot it mid-air. The kid froze. He didn't expect this try to fail too, like something blocking him again. Turned out the Guardian was once again the one who stopped him, and he even used a gun to do it. The man gave our guy this cold stare and said he never promised he wouldn't mess with him. Main guy clearly didn't expect that twist. He yelled in shock, asking where he even got that gun from. Fire Tower Guardian turned to the side, gave this weird little smile and asked the kid why he doesn't try guessing it himself. Angry. Yayu clenched his fist tight and told him to stop joking around since owning weapons is banned in their country. He wanted to keep complaining but shut up real quick when he saw 3 fireballs flying straight at him. Guardian told him to stop talking so much, and the guy managed to block the burning ball with his hand, even though it took a lot of effort. He somehow got control of the flame-covered basketball, spinning it with both hands. Main dude focused on getting used to how the Tower Guardian kept throwing those fireballs at him. He turned that flame energy into wind power and took control of the ball to try shooting it into the hoop. Yayu charged 3 basketballs with his power, and all of them flew at the moving hoop at the same time. But it still didn't work. The Fire Tower Guardian blasted all 3 balls again, completely destroying them. Main guy tensed up and complained that no matter how he throws it, his ball just can't be faster than a bullet. The man said that in basketball court, everything comes down to the moment of the shot, even if the guy still hasn't learned to control those virtual particles. He threw more balls at him again, saying Yayu couldn't use the particles non-stop. Each activation lasts like a tiny fraction of a second. And that's why the guy had to calculate stuff super well. So when the next ball got destroyed by the shot, he already focused wind energy around his hand. Flamekeeper kept shooting the balls with his pistol while giving our hero some tips at the same time. He said that even if the kid uses virtual particles but misses the right moment, nothing would work anyway. According to the man, in that case the main guy wouldn't be much stronger than a normal basketball player without any special powers. Yayu tried to throw the ball into the hoop again. This time he was just a few centimeters away from scoring. But the man still destroyed it with a bullet. Though he praised the kid for almost making it and said he had huge potential, Yayu kinda thought he passed the test already and could leave, since the man admitted his skills actually impressed him. But when Yayu asked if that was true, the man waved his finger and showed him he wouldn't let the kid leave just yet. Keeper of the fire tower was ready to keep testing our guy, so first thing he did was snap his fingers. Scared, Yayu started looking around. The kid noticed how the keeper put out every single flame with just one move of his hand. Main dude got even more freaked out when the man said the real test was only starting now. Throwing another wave of flaming balls at Yayu, the keeper said he'd have to pass the test in complete darkness. According to him, only then our hero would reach full success, and Yayu was already looking around in panic. Conditions got way harder, and in that pitch black our guy missed a ball that smacked him right on the chin. All he could do now was try covering himself with his hands and take hit after hit. Yayu missed literally every ball. Keeper told him not to rely on his eyes but to feel tiny movements of air, so his senses would kinda turn into his eyes. Main guy listened to the man's advice. He froze for a moment and opened his mouth a bit to focus on the feeling. He shut his eyes and let his power out. And the man said that releasing those particles lasts only a moment, but it charges his body and activates his cells. From what he said, this would give Yayu some sense beyond normal human limits, and turns out the keeper was right. Yayu felt 3 balls coming, one flying straight, one turning right, and last one going left, and he was ready to catch them. Catching one ball, our young guy thought it was time to use that spiral energy move again. Spinning the ball, he closed his eyes and stretched both hands out to catch the other 2 balls coming at him from the sides. Using the spiral move on both balls, the main dude went for a double shot. The ball's already just a few centimeters from the hoop. But the fire tower keeper didn't want to let him win because he adapted way too fast, so he opened fire again. The man said it still wasn't enough and once more shredded the basketballs with shots from his gun. But our young guy didn't get upset. He was set on fighting more, so he snorted, smirked, and said they weren't done yet. At that moment, the tower keeper still had no idea the guy had one more trick ready, and Yayu went for another shot at the basket. Man only managed to turn around and stare in shock at the ball that was already just a few centimeters from the hoop. Keeper of the fire tower didn't react fast enough to shoot the ball before it hit the hoop, so our guy ended up winning. The kid lit up with happiness and yelled that he did it, while the man kinda twisted his face asking how that was even possible. Feeling proud, Yayu said he was sure the man was surprised and asked if he wanted him to explain it. The man praised him and admitted he was still shocked about that third ball disappearing, the super fast one that flew straight. He said he figured out that Yayu, using insane speed, made the third ball spin right in front of him so it looked like it stopped. Then he said that after that Yayu grabbed 2 more balls and threw them using spiral energy, and power of those 2 vortexes sped up the ball hidden between them. It was 2 throws, but the real target was the third ball, and Yayu also used the darkness to hide that ball perfectly. Keeper guessed there was more to it, saying the kid also used the time he needed to reload his gun. Yayu confirmed it and added that with his speed the man could have destroyed the ball before it reached the end. He said he once watched a video on some weapon channel and knew that the gun's magazine had 17 rounds, and reload took like half a second. The man started clapping for our guy and said, Yayu passed the fire tower trial faster than anyone he ever saw. Main hero turned around and noticed all the fires lighting up again. Whole fire tower got bright once more. The kid raised his hands up and started celebrating when the fire tower guardian let him leave and wished him good luck. Yayu saw stairs in front of him and a new door shaped kinda like a wave, so he guessed water tower was next. Main guy moved closer to the doorway and peeked in carefully while still walking up the stairs. But when he stepped out under this blue cloudy sky, he was stunned since he didn't expect to end up in a place like that. Turned out water tower was actually an old train station area, and he saw a woman in a long coat standing there. Our young hero tried to process the fact that water tower was actually a station, and he called out to the woman who was standing with her back to him. Woman in the coat was still facing away from the kid. She introduced herself as the water tower guardian named Ruyun. She asked if he knew the rules and said that to leave this tower he needs to get on the train. Main dude yelled that he finally got it, thanked the keeper for explaining stuff and rushed forward trying to catch the train that already started moving. Before running off, he looked at her one last time and said, "Bye," while that strict woman just stood there in silence watching him go. Turned out the task wasn't that easy, since before he even reached the train he slammed into some kind of obstacle. The guy groaned in pain when Ruyan tried stopping him, pushing him back with a handful of virtual particle power. Keeper of the water tower kept swinging her arms, hitting Yayu over and over so he wouldn't reach the train. Main character couldn't take that many hits, lost balance and crashed straight into the ground face first. Her strike was so strong that Yayu slid a long distance, breaking with his face on the stone path. The wary keeper stood ready with her hands up, prepared to jump at him again any moment. Yayu realized this woman was really strong, stronger than the two keepers before. Her power felt insane when she hit him. He noticed crazy flexibility in her movements. It felt almost like wild ocean waves crashing around. Our guy didn't want to focus on that and rushed forward again. He planned to use cloud climb technique and just jump over her. Yayu jumped and almost flew right over the head of the water tower guardian. He needed just a bit more to reach roof of the train. Ruyan noticed it, of course, even before he landed on the train, and she was dead set on stopping him. Guardian hit him on the shoulder with her palm again and called him out, saying his moves were way too rough. When she smacked him in chest so hard he almost passed out, she said his moves had zero flexibility too. Water Tower Keeper kept messing with him non-stop, and our guy could only take her hits kinda bravely. Wincing from pain, the main dude tried to break free from her hands while she kept striking him again and again. Woman already started using both hands to hit his neck, and all he could do was take it, teeth clenched tight. At same time, she kept giving him instructions, told him not to interfere, not argue, not judge, to drop himself and follow nature of things. Water Tower Guardian raised her palms and charged them with power, getting ready to attack him again. She knocked him down by sending a water tornado right into him and said that only by following her earlier words, Yayu could find some peace. Woman said the court gets super tight when 10 players are on it, and Yayu has to outsmart strong opponents instead of trying to beat them with raw power. Keeper told him to remember that being flexible isn't weakness. You want to be like water, since it helps all living things without trying to compete. Ruyan said water gets into places everyone else avoids, and she kept gathering her power, moving her palms around. Our guy watched her closely and listened when she said nothing in the world is softer or weaker than water. Keeper of the water tower said that when water meets an obstacle, nothing can really beat it. Right then, our guy remembered something from his past, when he was on the basketball court, and his friend told him he should be like water. Back then, his friend said he watched a video where some martial arts master talked about water, and he thinks it makes sense in basketball too. Shinran dashed forward with the ball and said that even if he's fast, speed alone ain't enough, and sometimes pushing too hard gives the opposite result. Best friend of our guy looked at him and said, "You wanted to learn to relax, be like water, soft but powerful." Remembering those wise words, Yayu finally got it and agreed. He rushed forward again, planning to be soft but strong like water. He sprinted ahead, and this bright blue glow of water energy surrounded his body, the power he got after training with the Guardian. The guy started running all over the station trying to outsmart the Guardian, and she said that softness holds the strength of hardness, and you wanted to act based on the moment. At last, a soft smile showed up on the Water Tower Guardian's face. She praised our guy. But she tried attacking him again to stop him from catching the train, and now Yayu could dodge her moves right in time. The main guy realized that the moment she talked about was happening right now. Guardian of the Water Tower swung her hand charged with water energy, trying to hit him once more. But our guy dashed forward, stepping to the side and using his opponent's own strength for his advantage. That let him finally pass the Water Tower trial and get on the train, leaving the Guardian behind. The kid got excited and yelled that he did it, and the Guardian praised him again, saying he did a good job. Woman stopped trying to hold him back. She just turned around and said goodbye. Train, leaving thick smoke behind, finally started moving off the station, and Yayu was ready to head to the next tower. Before leaving, the main guy waved at the keeper of the water tower and shouted a big thanks for the training. Train moved along rails surrounded by total darkness. Up ahead was this big circle like a sun, and Yayu was headed to the Golden Tower. Soon the train stopped at a station, dark sky glowing with golden rays. Even the floor inside that tower was made of gold. Yayu was already being waited for by the keeper of the Golden Tower, a strong muscular dude standing in the middle of an empty golden square. When Yayu stepped out and asked if this was really the tower keeper, the man, without even turning around, complained that Yayu made him wait too long. The tough, muscular guy finally turned and introduced himself as the keeper of the Golden Tower, nickname Steel Fist. Main guy got visibly scared when he saw that huge dude in front of him, who told him to show what he already learned. Steel Fist gave a kind of mysterious smile and told the kid not to waste time and start the trial. Took a long time, but finally our guy got out. He covered his face with his hand because the next doors were crazy bright. Soon the guy finished the last tower. The Guardian wished him luck. And all messy and with torn clothes, Yayu thanked him back. When our hero finally got free and stepped into normal world again, he guessed he was somewhere in the mountains. Lucky for him, once he got close to the cliff, he saw a whole city in front of him, which meant he wasn't far from civilization. Yayu felt super happy knowing he could finally go home and a nice city view opened up right in front of him. But he still remembered what the 5-element tower guardian said, that real trials in his life were just starting now. Soon the main guy made it back to his home, kinda surrounded by a green park, a not-so-tall building next to modern skyscrapers. Food in the tower was awful, so Yayu instantly attacked his fridge and started eating everything he could find in there. The dude ate literally everything in the fridge and sat down right next to it with a full belly, happy he finally got real food. After our hero changed clothes, he found out his old stuff was now way too small for him. He started wondering when his mom would come back, because he needed to ask her to buy him some new clothes. Main guy decided to take off his stuff and stay only in his underwear, saying he didn't need clothes while he was home anyway. He didn't expect his mom to already be back, and when she walked inside holding a box, she instantly started calling for her son. Trying to cover himself, our guy awkwardly waved at her, and she dropped the box out of pure shock. Woman screamed, asking what kind of pervert was in her house and started kicking him while Yayu tried to explain he was her son. But the angry woman didn't listen at all. She jumped at him trying to throw him out, and he begged her to just hear him out. Main character told his mom the whole story of what happened to him, and she covered her mouth in surprise while listening. He convinced her he really was Yayu, saying he even knew the card password, and the guy admitted he didn't fully understand what happened himself. Mom wanted to take him to hospital for a check, but Yayu refused and went straight to his favorite shop to see his uncle. The shop owner looked at him confused and asked who he was, and Yayu realized he had to explain everything one more time. When Yayu told him everything, the shop owner said it was beyond anything he could imagine and what the kid went through was just insane. The man made him super happy, saying he bought tickets for the opening ceremony of the basketball town, and Yayu started thanking him on his knees. Yayu got so happy he even started kissing the tickets since he always dreamed about going to that arena opening. The guy instantly ran to the store exit, saying he'd pay him back next time, but the owner refused and said it was a gift. The man was honestly happy for his favorite customer, and that smile stayed on his face for a while after our hero rushed out the door. Shinran had broken his arm earlier on the court and ended up in the hospital, so our guy headed there to check on his friend. Yayu got curious about how his injury was doing, and 3 girls on the bench nearby noticed that this guy looked kind of familiar. One girl said she doesn't think she's seen such a cute dude at her school, and her friend replied she still thinks Jinran is better looking. Shinran gave his friend a confused look when he walked into the room and asked how his injury was doing. Main guy changed so much that his best friend didn't even recognize him and asked who he was and if they even knew each other. Yayu let out a heavy sigh since he had to tell the same story for the 3rd time, because his best friend didn't even recognize him. Shinran believed him and got super hyped about that story, and our guy gave him a gift, a ticket to the opening ceremony as an apology. The blonde dude yelled from excitement when he saw it was a ticket to the opening of the basketball town. Soon, the long-awaited opening of the sports complex finally started. Thousands of people showed up to be part of it. Areas around the new stadiums got packed with guys and girls who came to watch the basketball match. Shinran and his best friend also went there that day and watched everything on the court with a ton of excitement. That same day, the mysterious player Jason Lee appeared, the one who could beat literally every basketball star. Jason Lee showed the crowd his crazy beyond human skills, scoring again and again like it was nothing. In basketball, this mysterious player used kinda super abilities, throwing the ball with a power no star could even reach. He didn't even hesitate to go against an old man who had the guts to step on the court and challenge him. Lucky for everyone, our guy who got his powers stepped in for the old man and showed in the match he wasn't weaker than Jason Lee, scoring super easy. When the kid first showed Jason Lee what he could do, he turned around and looked straight at the player. Jason Lee started losing his mind from anger after winning so many games and then hitting a real strong opponent. A tall, strong dude walked up to Yayu and asked if he wanted a one-on-one duel. Yayu, with his face hidden by a mask, was serious as hell and told him to stop talking and just start the game. Jason Lee stared at our guy with those wild eyes and said the kid was probably scared to show his face. The player added it was kinda smart since this way the kid wouldn't feel ashamed when he beats him up like a stray dog. The guy started yelling, asking our young hero what he was waiting for, and Yayu just snorted back and got ready to attack. Jason Lee shouted at him to watch his ball, then rushed in, shoved the kid, and reached out to take the ball from him. The player who beat all the stars already touched the ball with his fingers, but Yayu was holding it really tight. Yayu thanked his opponent for the reminder, still kept the ball under his control and rushed forward using his kinda magic power. Now our guy's focus was only on the hoop. His whole goal was to throw the ball in there. Jason Lee got confused. He didn't get how his opponent managed to pass him so fast, and started looking around, shocked by his speed. Main guy made it all the way to the enemy hoop and jumped up toward it, ready to toss the ball inside. Yayu pulled off a clean dunk and sent the ball through the hoop, holding onto it with his hand before landing back down. Tossing the ball up a bit, the guy yelled at his opponent saying it was his turn to attack now. Crowd started cheering for Yayu, same with the commentator who said he looked like some kind of savior coming from the sky. Shop owner from the tiny place our hero likes to visit was also watching the match on TV. The man felt proud of his small friend, knowing this was just the start, and he wanted Yayu to show what he can really do. Jason Lee smiled and said he found this pretty fun, and the guy in front of him was starting to interest him even more. Juggling the ball a bit, the guy warned our hero that in today's game he still had zero chance to win. He frowned, stared at Yayu from under his brow and said he'd show him the reason why he would lose. Controlling the ball, Jason Lee dashed forward trying to reach the hoop while our hero tried to block him. Yayu got so insanely fast that he crossed the whole court in a moment and stopped right in front of his opponent. The guy yelled that no matter how fast his rival was, he still wouldn't be able to catch him. Jason Lee said he knew it, that the kid didn't have real experience since he could see him trying to use speed alone for a drive and a dunk. Player with the artificial implant pushed off the ground and asked his opponent to let him show something. Shinran, who watched the game super closely, tensed up when he realized things weren't that simple. A shop worker watching the match on TV also got scared when he figured out what the opponent was planning. Meanwhile, Jason Lee pushed himself upward, jumped, and yelled that real basketball experience decides everything. Main guy realized he messed around too much and dropped his guard, but it was already late since his opponent had thrown the ball right into the hoop. Commentator said Jason Lee just scored a point for himself, and it kinda looked like the whole situation was shifting fast. Yayu tensed up. His opponent tricked him with that aggressive play, and he admitted he was way too overconfident. Jason Lee spoke into his earpiece and asked the scientist to boost power to like 10%, saying he wanted to knock this dude off the court in one hit. Bald scientist wasn't sure if they should even do that, and asked his coworkers if it wasn't too risky. Scientist with glasses understood that their test subject's opponent wasn't some normal person, and told the team to raise the power since it was a pretty unique chance for testing. Just like Jason Lee asked, power was raised to 10%. His eyes lit up with blue light, and he let out this painful groan. But once he felt himself getting way stronger, he got this weird satisfaction, aura around his body glowing even brighter. He said basketball was his territory and he was wanted, get rid of the annoyance standing in his way. Even if our guy had better skills than those stars. Main hero told him to wait till night if he wants to see a dream like that, then grab the ball to keep the game going. Yayu started moving around fast, hiding the ball behind his back while his opponent used his body to guard the hoop and block his way. Jason Lee called him a brat and said he wasn't the one to teach him anything. He tried chasing him, but our guy was quicker. The dude kept trying hard to catch up to Yayu, who was speeding toward the hoop while keeping full control of the ball. Yayu reached the spot where he could shoot, jumped up with the ball raised high, and was ready to take the shot. His opponent, who tried grabbing the ball from him, thought Yayu had some kind of simple mindset and only used reckless moves. Jason Lee's hand was just centimeters from the ball, and the confident guy was sure he was about to take it. He definitely didn't expect his opponent to make a sudden move and not shoot right away, but instead pull the ball in a totally different direction. Our main guy grabbed the ball with both hands and hit it behind himself so his opponent wouldn't get it. Now that his opponent was confused, Yayu used his extra strength and made a clean and easy shot into the hoop. The shot went in even though Jason Lee tried to stop him, and our main guy scored another point for himself. Host said that the mysterious guy landed another clean shot and scored again for himself. Scientist in glasses said this kid wasn't simple at all, and his moves plus his whole playstyle reminded him of something big. Jason Lee got a message in his earpiece. Scientist wanted to boost his power by another 10%, and he had to force our hero to go full strength. The guy wondered why those scientists suddenly cared so much about this Yayu. It kind of pissed him off, and he wanted to find a moment to hurt his opponent. After getting another power boost, Jason Lee got ready to attack. Bright sparks were shooting out from his legs. Controlling the ball, he rushed forward and yelled at our hero not to celebrate too early while staring straight into his eyes. He charged right toward the hoop. Main hero tried stopping him with arms spread out, but the guy shoved him aside. Yayu tensed up and admitted his opponent was pretty fast, especially when he broke through his defense and dashed forward yelling for him to get out of the way. Jason Lee looked back for a second while running, heading straight for the hoop, and the kid was trying hard to catch up. Player tensed up when he saw his opponent getting close. The distance between them became super small already. Main guy started guarding his hoop again, spreading his legs and arms wide so his opponent couldn't move any further. Jason Lee watched him with this annoyed look, thinking how damn stubborn his opponent was. The dude got so mad he hit our guy in the face with his elbow, and commentator didn't even get what happened or why Yayu suddenly lost balance. Speed was so insane that even cameras couldn't catch Jason Lee's movement, and he said it was just the appetizer. He lifted the ball over his head, getting ready to shoot, thinking how sport is kinda cruel and there can be only one winner on court. A crazy smile flashed on his face, and he yelled that this one winner was him. Jason Lee took a shot at the opponent's basket. Ball was flying straight toward the target, just a few centimeters left. He instantly stopped smiling and looked up confused when he noticed our guy flying toward the ball above him, overtaking him midair. Jason Lee stared at the main guy in horror and shouted, not understanding how it was possible for him to pull that off. Yayu jumped up to the hoop and managed to smack the ball away at the last moment, sending it all the way to the other side of the court. Commentators said they hadn't seen such an insane match in a long time, and when Yayu landed, his opponent asked if he could even see anything. Yayu, whose eyes were closed this whole time, said, "You don't always need eyes to see something," and asked if he wasn't able to do the same. Jason Lee grabbed the ball again, called our guy a brat, and asked if he was really looking down on him. The player understood he wasn't dealing with some normal person. He remembered how years ago that group of superhuman basketball players appeared. He suspected Yayu might be one of them, but then reminded himself that he had the most advanced tech in him and couldn't lose to this kid. Meanwhile, our hero still stood there with eyes closed, using his senses to see everything around him. The guy stayed totally calm, using the knowledge that was passed to him by the guardian of the fire tower. Yayu understood the exact moment he had to act. And he was right, because his opponent was already running toward him with the ball. But Jason Lee didn't believe this kid could have any kind of abilities, so his closed-eye pose didn't scare him at all. He decided that since the kid wasn't using his eyes, he'd just take them from him forever. And he didn't care if it was a foul as long as he got rid of him. Main guy was still standing calm with his eyes closed, and right then his opponent's elbow was already coming in to hit him. But Yayu felt the threat even with his eyes closed, so he dodged in time, and the commentator said Jason Lee's move was a straight-up intentional foul. Jason Lee stared at him, shocked, not expecting him to dodge, while the kid just snorted back at him. The guy finally opened his eyes and told Jason Lee he managed to protect one thing but missed another, and he was ready to take the ball from him. But Jason Lee caught on, grabbed the ball tight, and yelled that Yayu better keep dreaming if he thought he'd steal it. Yayu didn't give up. He bent his back a bit and activated his virtual particles to stop his opponent. The player panicked, not even understanding what was going on. It felt like he ran into a wall when he tried to break through the defense. Clenching his teeth, he glanced at our guy, fear hitting him since that young kid didn't even move after the shove. In his eyes, Yayu turned into this dark giant silhouette standing like a stone wall, and Jason Lee felt something weird inside. Player realized that in his whole career, he never once felt this kind of fear on the court. So he grabbed the basketball like a madman and told the scientist to push his power all the way up to max. Bald scientist yelled, asking if their test subject went crazy because that level was super dangerous. But his coworker insisted he should follow the subject's orders, even though the bald guy doubted Jason Lee could handle that load. Scientist with glasses told his colleague it didn't matter anyway since Jason Lee was just a test subject. Power of the artificial implant in Jason Lee's body jumped to like 98%, and he shouted that he had to win no matter what. Electric charges shot through all his muscles, each moment making them grow stronger to boost Jason Lee's speed and power. He got so fast that even our hero couldn't react in time when his opponent already dashed past him toward the hoop. Shinran yelled that Jason Lee was sliding across the ground, using momentum from his jump to break through defense, but he still thought Jason would end up eating dirt. Commentator said Jason Lee was moving forward with the ball, but his feet weren't touching the ground, so it wasn't a foul. And he wondered what Jason was even trying to do. Host said no one had ever seen such a crazy way of shooting, and Jason Lee looked like he was about to throw the ball from a super low angle. Jason Lee, was almost like laying parallel to the floor when he swung his arm to throw the ball at his opponent's hoop. He picked the most perfect position for himself to make this kind of sneaky shot from a super low angle. The guy used his arm strength and reflexes to shoot the ball almost while laying down, and it started flying toward the hoop. Watching how the ball was moving through air, Jason Lee already thought he was definitely getting that point. He figured those excited screams from the crowd were for him, but got shocked when he opened his eyes and saw our guy rising into the air. Shocked, Jason hoped the dude wouldn't reach his ball in time and stop him from scoring. And Yayu was still using his senses instead of his eyes to play, waiting for the right moment to act, and that moment finally came. The guy reached his hand forward to launch this bright blue sphere of his power right toward the ball and stop it from hitting the rim. Still with eyes closed, Yayu managed to reach the ball and grab it before it even got close to the hoop. Yayu held the ball tight with both hands and landed back down, and the commentator said that mysterious kid just blocked the shot. Jason Lee just froze when he saw that. He kept staring at his opponent with those shocked eyes for a long moment. Crowd went wild over our guy's insane ability. PPL were yelling that he looked like he had wings behind his back. His opponent was still standing there stunned, just staring at one spot, not looking nearly as confident anymore. That mysterious kid, like the commentator calls him, spread his legs wide, holding the ball tight while his opponent was still down on the ground. Jason Lee got furious. He kept telling himself he hadn't lost yet, trying hard to convince himself he still had some chance. But then panic hit even harder when he looked down and noticed his legs stopped responding to him at all. He screamed loud from the pain hitting his legs. Something was clearly very wrong with his body. Jason Lee realized the artificial implant in his leg had cracked, which meant he pushed way past its limit. The basketball player got angry as hell, yelling and blaming our guy for it, still repeating he hadn't lost. He started screaming like crazy from the pain the broken implant was causing. He had no strength left to keep playing. Scientists in glasses said the test subject was basically done, and they had to launch drones, drop some smoke grenades, and carry him off the court. Jason Lee fell to the ground, and right then 2 guys in white coats ran onto the court to take him away. Injured guy was put on a stretcher, and 4 big security dudes also came out and surrounded the main character. Yayu was confused, said he was fine, and asked the men in black why they were surrounding him like that. Crowd noticed drones showing up again. They started dropping smoke grenades, so people freaked out and ran. Our guy just closed his eyes when one of the guards grabbed his shoulders and told him not to fight it, saying someone wanted to meet him. But he didn't want to go anywhere with them. Told them that straight up and tried breaking out of the circle of guards. Main dude started spinning the basketball on his index finger, using that move his uncle from the shop taught him. Working the ball super smoothly, he launched it at the guards just like the fire tower keeper used to do with him. That let Yayu knock the men down and use the moment to run. One guard recovered and yelled for the others not to let him get away. Main guy already grabbed the gate to get off the court, but suddenly stopped when he noticed some danger right in front of him. He saw 2 men in black flying at him like hunters, ready to grab him and not let him escape. Yayu freaked out and panicked hard when he saw 4 gloved hands just a few centimeters from his own. But he jumped at the right moment, doing air split, then kicked another guard in the face and ran off with his hood pulled up. Worried, Shinran asked why security even jumped him, and Yayu said those weren't security at all. He had no clue who they were and told him to stop filming. Yayu grabbed his friend's hand and pulled him along, yelling that they want to run. And the blonde didn't complain since he still hadn't thanked donators and the stream had big online. When they got back home, Shinran asked what the hell was going on, why there were smoke bombs, and why those people were after him. Our guy said those PPL clearly weren't from organizers, but his friend didn't stress, saying it didn't matter as long as Yayu was safe. Shinran suggested checking what people were saying online, and the guy admitted he acted kind of reckless and jumped in to help on pure instinct. News on TV were just talking about the opening of the basketball town, and they were about to show an interview with Minister of Sports. Minister decided to lie to everyone, saying today's whole thing was actually a staged scene from organizers, like some surprise. He said the main point was just to boost the mood, and promised this would never happen again since he didn't expect a few people to end up in hospital. A reporter asked him about that guy in mask. Minister said it was still secret info and his identity would be shared later. Interview ended, and Shinran started complaining that his stream got removed from the platform. Blonde dude was mad that his video got deleted for breaking rules. He shouted saying he'd appeal to mods, and our guy asked him to let him check it. Yayu started reading comments under the stream. Some people wrote he was super strong. Someone even made a forum thread about him. Main guy couldn't help but smile after reading all the nice stuff about him and realizing he was the strongest. Soon they both went outside and waved at each other, saying bye after such a long and kinda life-changing day. Shinran winked at his friend and said that next time when he heals up, they'd fight again on that court they lost, and this time they'd win for sure. Some random passerby noticed our guy was wearing the same clothes as the masked dude, but his friend told him that match was all scripted anyway. Yayu was standing out way too much and should change clothes. He heard random people gossiping about him while he walked by. When our young guy came up to his favorite shop, he wondered why Uncle closed it when he saw the sign. He got even more confused when he noticed through the glass door that the shop owner was still inside. Door wasn't even locked, so the kid warned Uncle he was coming in without permission and saw him standing at the far end of the store. He started worrying about him, walked over and asked the quiet man if he was feeling sick or something. Shop owner turned around and, showing his phone with clips from today's match, asked the kid if that masked guy was really him. Yayu started laughing, pretending it wasn't him at all. He asked the seller how could it be him if that masked dude was so strong. But the shop owner made it clear he was sure it was him, and warned that Yayu would face defeat because of his pride and lack of practice if he ever meets a real master. Kid was stunned when Uncle suggested doing a one-on-one street match right now if he didn't believe him.